Hey guys, it's Gusi. Before we start with the new episode, we need to talk. Almost 50 likes within the first day. You guys seriously need to stop this. I'm rock hard because of your support for the last few weeks, man. So give yourself a break, and me too. But in all seriousness, thank you very much. For this episode, I thought we are going a more relaxed path compared to all the underworld shittery that seemingly cursed my being.
To heal them is my real test. To hate them is my cause.
At first, I'm happy to announce that we got some mad upgrades to our gear. Thanks to an almost full clear of the normal raid and because we had all the sparks to spend. From the raid itself, we managed to grab 2 items this week. Funny enough from the same boss. A new pair of shoulders with haste verse and set hands. Because we swapped those around, this is pretty much just an overall item increase, and we take that any day. But I was still lacking a lot of slots on my equipment, so we took to the trading post with 25k gold to spend. First, just as on the Shaman, we got ourselves the Underlighting Spore Cloak, and we used the item level upgrade crest we got from finishing the storyline in Zaralak. After that, we crafted ourselves a new ring, and the Alchemist Stone, which a friend of mine recommended me until I get another one of the better trinkets from the raid.
As the final choice, I went with crafted bracers in order to bump up our item level to 419.
After all that, I spent pretty much all the flight stones and crests I had available to push it even higher to 423. Usually I'd say that we're absolutely ready to do keys, but there's one more thing. Instead of asking you to like the video, I'd like to misdirect your attention to another video I made. Even though no one asked, I made a My Way video, sort of as a guide for my journey on the Elemental Shaman. But for some reason YouTube didn't want to showcase this at all. So if that interests you, feel free to check it out. I put the link in the description as well as your top right corner. Thank you for your attention. Now let's proceed with our 4th episode. A few of you for sure noticed the title, so let me explain what's up with that. In most cases, Mistweaver do use the Fistweaving to their advantage, but in this episode I want to showcase you a different build. This is more of a normal healing build that will have you use a lot more cast than relying on your Rising Sun kick to do the healing. And quite honestly, even though this build is a bit less engaging for obvious reasons, I feel a lot more confident to heal higher keys for sure. Because of the low cooldowns on multiple healing abilities, you pretty much always have a button to press to top the entire party. Not to mention the extra haste we gain on our 1 minute cooldown. But let me quickly show you what I mean. Because we don't play with Phalanx Stomp, we got a lot more points to spend. We replaced GG with Yulon, because while GG procs from doing damage, Yulon procs on direct healing. Instead of Ancient Teachings, we go with Clouded Focus to furthermore increase our direct healing by channeling Soothing Mist. Replacing Rising Mists with Tea of Morning just adds to the same effect and will increase our direct heals while channeling even more. Though one could argue that Rising Mists still does better in dungeons. I just took Tea of Morning because I tried to make this build as much caster as possible. With Secret Infusion we are granted stats depending on which ability we use after Thunder Focus Tea, and Evoker's Delight furthermore increases our haste for 8 seconds after using Yulon. That is more than a Bloodlust. I think in an overview of things, this is more of a raid build, but hey, it's a different playstyle and gets the job done. The only downside I figured from this is that you are more likely to drop some mana, since you don't get extra mana from blackout kicks. But hey, again, it gets the job done, and I will show you. We continue our journey with the 12th field and... okay, this doesn't really count. Not sure what happened here, but we just absolutely glided through this dungeon with ease. I would love to give you any fun footage from this, but this was more boring than anything else. Hell, the Blood Decay almost did 60k HPS by himself. Next dungeon was a 13 horse, but my clumsy brain didn't record that one, till I was at the very end. Which is a shame, cause the third boss was some serious healing. But just in time for you to see me die the only death this party had to suffer. Yet again, 2-chested easily. Just in case I forget it again, I kept the recording rolling and applied to a 13 older man, because surely older man and tyrannical will be more fun to hear. And it was. Even outside of bosses I had to occasionally whip out some very solid healing in order to keep the party up. Though it seems like our tank didn't believe, so it appears he tried to run outside of the dungeon for some reason. Before we pulled the first boss of this dungeon, I thought about the one thing that hurts here. The pulsing AoE damage when the totem is up was the only thing I worried about. So I already schemed in my head which cooldowns I should use. Luckily, we got a 1 minute cooldown in Yulon and an even lower cooldown with our Shaman's Gift ability. Yet honestly, I forget to use Shaman's Gift in so many situations, and I could top the party a lot easier in some of them. Focusing on that incoming damage with every totem, we easily managed to kill this one. Moving back to the dwarves, things got a bit spicy for us. I had no time to figure out what caused all the incoming damage here, but I had my hand full a lot of times. Here, I could have saved the Warlock if I just used Shaman's Gift instead of trying to spot heal everyone. Luckily, I managed to recover the rest of the party, but this fight didn't go as smooth as I may wanted it. But hey, I guess I asked for more action, so I can't complain now. I even had to use the mana potion because I was mismanaging my mana so much. Over 70k HPS down at the end of the fight on only 4 targets, so I'm sure we didn't avoid as much as we could. I took the Dwarven fight as a good warm-up for the next boss to come. Sentinel Telandros is a real pain in the ass on any hierarchy, so I was curious and even slightly anticipated this one. As healer, we have 2 things to worry about here. Bot heal the one with the debuff and make sure that people are topped for the storm. Since both of those things happen in very quick intervals, this is almost a non-stop healing encounter. Right after the boss started, one player gets debuff right away, and as you can see, that thing takes pretty hard. I also reminded myself to use Shaman's gift more often here. When you are targeted by the debuff yourself, don't be an idiot like me and use diffuse magic. Even though the ability is called Earthen Shard, it is actually a bleed damage. I managed to keep everyone alive and somehow even ended the fight with less HPS than on the dwarves. So now at least I'm very sure we did something wrong there. Emberon is up next, and on this one, this build really shines compared to the Fistweaver. Because you don't want to stack as much here, and having already 3 people in melee doesn't make it easier if I also go there. With all the multipliers we have on Vivify, this thing hits like crazy. So no issues whatsoever to keep the party alive. Though I'm now getting anxious if I can actually heal those keys on Fistweaver. But of course we had to have this one YOLO pull that messes up the run. Because our tank lined me here, I quickly tried to catch up and rolled right into the cleave, which just slapped the taste right out of my mouth. Luckily this was it with the tank shenanigans, and we made our way to the final boss in an attempt to steal 2 chests to spot. Here it's very important that we keep track of the 3 time stake debuffs that go out. We can dispel one of them and use Tiger's Lust to dispel another one every 30 seconds. And again, it's important to top the party before the AoE knock-up happens. In this group setup, only the hunter would be able to take his off by himself, so I didn't really count on that. Timing it with over a minute for the mentioned 2 chests, we gained yet another 88 rating. The next dungeon was a Brackenhide Hollow. Before we get to the Brackenhide, I'd like to quickly remind you that if you enjoyed this video so far, you can show me your appreciation by potentially leaving a sub. It's for free after all, and would mean the world to me. Thank you very much, and now back to the video. I felt myself that day, so I tried to get a hang of every potential heal check in order to be somewhat prepared in the future. But first, I got reminded of my healer duties. Apparently it's my job to take the cages, while the tank just runs off to the next pull. Who would have guessed? And I never thought I'd say this, but the first boss is so insanely easy, if you know what to expect. And because we played probably the squishiest class to be played in this game, we knew what to expect. Gash Frenzy, which goes off right when the fight begins, targets a few players in an attempt to damage them while leaving a dot on top of them. You remove the dot by healing the player to either full or 90% at least. Not 100% certain here. I did quickly spot heal everyone that got affected, could have even used Shadon's gift there, and then prepared for Mark for Butchery. This ability will be tunneled on one player, which was me. So I made sure to use a cooldown in advance, and that thing didn't even go through my life cocoon. And that's it. Besides the random casts that go off from the boss, that's pretty much it when it comes to healing the boss. I've been told by so many people that this boss is actually pretty easy, and I never believed them. So now I'm a believer too. Because we made quick work of Trick Totem, we didn't even get to the totem. And with that I only needed to dispel the blind on the tank, so we can finish the boss. Freemouth and Gutshot were no challenge to us either, so we quickly dispatched of them on our way to the final boss. With still almost 5 minutes to 3 chests this, you know we just swooped through this place. I got the same boots I already had, but 7 item level higher. Is that even an upgrade? Who cares, we take it. Next on the list was a Vortex Pinnacle 12. I chose this one because this was the last dungeon I didn't do yet, so I kinda wanted some score there. And again, this went a lot cleaner than expected. Even the second boss didn't provide much of a challenge, so I will just skip this one. Easy 2 chests, but we got ourselves a ring upgrade from this place, so we are happy. On our last dungeon this episode, I aimed for some weekly vault item. So I applied to a bunch of 15s. Freeld was the place to be this time. And honestly, I totally forget about Sanguine being a thing this week. Probably because this is the first dungeon over 14 we are doing. And I think whoever made this party invited some normal people instead of some geared ones. Bosses usually took a while, because our damage was a bit limited it seems. Though first boss went without any issues, so our tank tried to make something spicy on the second. After Eudora, the more annoying one of those 2 bosses, he pulled another pack onto the boss, and if you play this clean, this will save you a little bit of time. But if you play it like us, it takes more time. because we managed to almost heal Raoul up to full HP again. After we finally killed the second boss, I found myself in a weird place where I realized that I didn't have any kicks with this build. And when you rely on kicks from other people, those things happen. Full party debuff, but at least Revival can take care of that. Darkboy again took a while due to a single target damage, but after getting rid of him, we decided to make it really funky for the final pull of the dungeon. I mean, we didn't really talk about it, it was more of a hive mind experience. In the beginning, I was totally overwhelmed with this. I didn't expect any of it, so instead of looking at the important things, like for example the AoE kick from one of the mobs, I tunneled on the HP bars instead. I pressed anything I had, and luckily I was able to stabilize the party again. But I can tell you, this made my heart beat fast, and I loved every second of it. Doing this made me realize that healing is actually fun, if you stay away from Underrot. Finishing the final boss, easily 2-chesting this puppy too, for a final score of 15-22 after this week of dungeon. And this is what our vault looks like, and I'd say it's a lot better than last week's. Afterwards, I was a bit upset that I didn't apply to 16s instead, because there would have been possibly a max item level from the vault. But hey, you can't have them all. Anyways, with this, we end our 4th episode. Again, as cheesy as it may is, I really appreciate you guys showing up again and again. So I really hope you enjoyed a more chill episode. I'm sure the rough times will come sooner than later. But anyways, as per usual, I wish you the most fantastic day whenever you see this, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.